Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm going to be talking about Encre Noir à l'Extrême, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Really do appreciate it. Now, the Encre Noir line by Lalique is talked about quite a bit because it is a high quality, what's generally described as a high quality vetiver fragrance for a very cheap price. So I ended up picking up this à l'Extrême. I think I got it from Fragrance X, or maybe it was Fragrance Net, I forget which one. And it's about $25, which I think for a 50 ml is pretty good price. So this definitely falls into that inexpensive fragrance territory. And I was interested in vetiver, so I decided to try this one out. I actually first tried Encre Noir Sport, which I really liked. So then I decided to get this one as well. So today I'm going to talk about this fragrance and what I actually get from this one. So when this one opens up, it's actually, I find in the opening is when it's the most complex because there's a lot going on with the top notes, and you also get the mid as well right on the initial blast. So it does open up quite dark. There is vetiver in this, and I do pick it up right away, and it's a little bit smoky. So it has this very nice, dark, mysterious vibe, and there is a definite resinous quality as well as it's quite earthy. So this is definitely one that I know a lot of people don't like. This is a bit of a polarizing fragrance. It is, for a designer brand, quite niche because it is this really earthy, dark vetiver, smoky, and I can even pick up sort of like a damp soil kind of a vibe in this on the opening. So it is quite interesting. There is also bergamot, which I do get a pretty hefty dose of in the opening. It adds this sort of brightness to contrast the darkness, which is really quite interesting, and does almost make it a little bit uplifting, really. I think it helps take off, or it takes off a little bit of that edge anyways, from being a very dark, earthy fragrance. Gives it a little bit of an uplift, makes it a little bit more bright. Now, actually, it's funny because after wearing this several times, the opening is definitely my favorite part because it's complex, it's rich, it's unique, and it's definitely high quality for what you're paying for. And I do really like that. Now, as this transitions, it does become a little bit more vetiver dominant, and it does become less earthy. There's still a little bit of darkness there. The sort of smoky vetiver does kind of dissipate into more of a grassy type of vetiver, which is a nice scent profile. I do really like that sort of grassy vibe that vetiver can have, and this one definitely has. So this one has two kinds of vetiver in it, and I'm just guessing the smokiness is the beginning. There's also incense, I think, and that kind of dissipates into the mid where this becomes more of a grassy vetiver. Now, in the dry down, I sometimes get the vibe that it smells a little bit like a marsh. And I find this with a lot of vetiver fragrances, that something about vetiver, maybe it is kind of, I don't actually know the habitat of vetiver, maybe it's a little bit of a marshy habitat, but I know it's a long grass. And it definitely gives off that vibe, right? Like, it definitely smells like there is this very nice quality, sort of marshy, grassy smell. So it is actually really nice from opening to dry down. As I said before, I do like the opening the most. It's a little bit more complex. It has a lot going on. It's a little bit darker. It does have that earthiness and a little bit of an inky vibe that goes into the mid. I know some people don't like that inkiness, but I do personally enjoy it quite a bit myself. And I find this one to differ from Sport in quite a, well, mostly in the opening and a little bit more in the dry down. So Encre Noir Sport can even open up a little bit aquatic, actually, a little bit more watery, and it's not nearly as earthy. It still has that inky vibe. It is still dark and mysterious. It has a lot of the qualities that this fragrance has, but it's not as earthy at all. It's not as damp, soily as this one is. And in the dry down, I sometimes get a bit of a soapy kind of vetiver, which can sometimes vetivers can be that way, which I don't get in this one. So they are definitely nicely related, But again, well, for me personally, I will say that Sport is my favorite. This one is nice, but I just wish that the opening would last longer. And I think it would be a much, much better fragrance because it's fairly simple on the dry down for me. Although, you know, for the price you're paying for, this is a very, very good fragrance. Now, performance in this is one where I do have a newer bottle, and I've heard some people say that the newer batches don't perform as well as older ones. So I can only speak from, I believe this is a 2019, from this particular bottle that I have, and the longevity is quite good. So I would say it's about 8 hours longevity, or a little bit more perhaps, which is nothing to complain about. But really it's more the projection. I find this one to be a very soft fragrance. There is, you know, a little bit of a sillage. This does leave a scent trail for, you know, a good 3 or 4 hours, but it's not a huge scent trail. It's not a really long scent trail, and it isn't one that projects a lot. While it does project for about 2 hours, it doesn't project that strongly. So again, it's a very soft fragrance that is, for a large part, something that sits a little bit closer to the skin, which is fine because, you know, I mean, I do like fragrances that I like the smell of, but at the same time, I would like if this projected a little bit more. So it is a little bit softer than I would like for the kind of fragrance that it is. It does certainly sit closer to the skin. Now, as for situations, this is definitely something you could wear a little bit more formally with a suit, just because it has the dark, mysterious vibe, and vetiver is often thought about or talked about as sort of a gentleman's fragrance note. So this is something that's going to be a little bit different, and I would generally say it's best to sample. I know it's hard to get samples of some of these cheaper fragrances, so if you could get a cheap sample or a free sample of this, that would be the best way to go about it, because it is a bit of a polarizing scent profile. Some people love it, some people really don't like it. I personally went out and blind bought the Sport to begin with, and I would say that's the best one to go with if you're going to, because it was really, really cheap. I think it was like $30 or $25 for 100 ml. So sometimes, I mean, if the sample is really expensive, it's like $10, you're paying basically half the price of a bottle. And at that point, I always feel like you might as well just buy the bottle. But anyways, it is one that's best to try first if you can, because it is polarizing. Even people who like vetiver often don't like this one. Now, as I was saying, it is best for formal occasions, but I think that you could wear this one casually. I could easily see wearing this one. Personally, I wear this one with a t-shirt all the time. It's no big deal for me. It has that nice sort of marshy, kind of dark, earthy, outdoorsy kind of a smell. And I think it is something that goes well with if you're going to do a hike or something like that. This is a nice quality fragrance for doing that kind of activity. And personally, I will say, as far as vetiver fragrances go, the Ancre Noir line, for me, has been one of the best lines for a vetiver dominant fragrance that I personally have ever smelt. And I have smelt like Nichane, I've smelt Roja, I've smelt Guerlain. I personally like this one a lot more than Guerlain vetiver, which I know is also a very inexpensive fragrance. But that's also pretty good as well. But, you know, ultimately, I think it's one that if you get the chance to get your nose on, I know some department stores or whatever, they might have this. You could either get a sample or spray it first. But definitely this is one of those fragrances, don't buy it in the store because it's like $100 or something ridiculous, and you can buy it for like $20 online. So it is a nice, dark, earthy vetiver fragrance. It's a little bit different. If you like that, if you like a little bit of smoky vetiver, this definitely has that, and it has that really beautiful marshy quality that I find a lot of vetiver also has with it. So that's it for this one, guys. Leave a comment down below. What's your favorite vetiver dominant fragrance? Is there one you think I should try out? Let me know. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.